I mean, I started 0, but I mean, that's just me.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting started with our second series of the day. Is going to be another mirror matchup. It's going to be a Zerg versus Zerg between Suppy and Scarlett. But before we get into that, I do want to give a huge thank you, of course, to some of the wonderful sponsors that have made Kings of the North possible. Be sure to check them out. Chairs for Gaming, a wonderful chair provider. You guys want to find some comfortable seats like Kwame and mine, you can find them over at Chairs for Gaming. And of course, Aces ROG, who provides a bunch of the hardware and has made a lot of the Kings of the North offline events very much possible.
Indeed. Hey, you don't even need to use those chairs for gaming. You know, you can use them for sitting if you not even have your monitor on. Just watching these streams too. But this player spawning in the top left-hand corner from Sloth Esports, he is Conan Suppy.
Lou. Pretty recent member of Sloth as well.
He's their newest member, if I remember correctly.
And his opponent, spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the pink Protoss player. Give it up for Scarlett. Yeah, I did say Protoss. So as much as we were expecting this to be our mirror matchup, Scarlett off-racing Protoss, she did this also during about half of the games for the WCS North American Challenger for Montreal.
Yep.
But she, against a lot of really good players, would just switch back to Zerg. Almost as if I think she's shown a little bit of disrespect right now to Suppy.
It makes me wonder if she does it during mirror matches or if it's, you know, against certain players.
I think she switched back versus True, though, to Zerg.
Oh, man.
I need to double check this in the challenger bracket, but that's what I believe ended up happening. So I'm not, and I think a lot of people used to think that was like the case, of that she was just trying to avoid the mirror matches, especially in the previous seasons of WCS Challenger, where she didn't want to play from Korea ZVZ, where it's such a micro-intensive matchup. But I don't know, Kwame. This is
it throws Suppy off too.
Her style of PVZ is also just like very, very silly. It's actually kind of right now.
God.
So here's the thing: she signed up as Protoss, but she is not enforced to play Protoss at Montreal.
Oh, okay. But just the fact that she did it in the first place, I mean, kind of shows something. You know, Scarlett has always been the player that's trolly, if you will, for a lack of better words. Like, if we...
She is the player that whenever weird things happen with like a rule set where someone's just like skirting along the lines of a technical rule set or like a technicality, Scarlett's usually at the heart of the issue because she just loves messing with people like that.
She does. And, well, you know, the thing is that she's actually pretty good at it, too. So, you know, it's not like she's just doing it and then getting obliterated. She made it through those qualifiers, did she not? So
yeah, she did end up qualifying. And she actually, it wasn't, so she switched back to Zerg for both True, Jon Snow, as well as Masa in the NA Challenger qualifiers. She only played Protoss versus... I say only, not to imply that these guys are bad, but Panda Bear, me, and Semper. Semper, I'm actually really surprised she decided to play Protoss against.
Seriously, Semper's so good. Maybe, Semper's ZVT is pretty solid. So
it is.
Scarlett ZVT, that's something she's been known for too. But she's going for Oracle, so it's going to be a Stargate opener. And I say Oracles, but I should say Oracle because, you know, multiple Oracles has been something that has not only plagued the ladder, but has definitely been a strategy that even the likes of, you know, SOS, I'm sure you're not surprised about that, but I think even Stats would have thrown that out.
What's funny is that it's like that has become the meta, but I have recordings, I have videos that I can point to you, like where I talk about how Scarlett's PVZ is actually that. She has been doing that kind of style of PVZ for almost like 7-8 months now. She has been playing that Mass Oracle style that has actually become a lot more popular. So she's actually quite exceptional at it because of it, and she ends up beating a lot of very good players with it. I believe at Valencia after the event, she does end up losing the some of the adepts. I guess some of the adepts still back at home, but at Valencia, she ended up beating, like, just on the ladder after she got knocked out of the tournament. She was playing Protoss on the ladder. She's like beating a Laser and Cyril and Nurchio, like all of these really good Zerg players.
It's just ridiculous. And yeah, it's really hard to play at a professional level just your main race. But when you start to flip and, do these off race shenanigans, you definitely have to practice a lot. You're not going to beat some of these best players without, actually putting the time and effort into it. So you definitely tell that she plays it a lot. Ooh. And this Oracle is trying to get some good damage on these queens. One might go down. There's no transfuse ready, but there is a Spore Crawler.
I do wonder how prepared Suppy is for this. He's finally starting up a 5th queen now, and his lair is also going up. He's actually got a few links on the other side of the map that are going to pull some of the oracles potentially back to help deal with this. None of the adepts are over there. Finally, Footstone Overcharge is going to be able to push those back, but I don't know if this is necessarily the most common thing or style to see from Protoss players on the North American ladder. And he's a married man. He's a full-time student. He's got a lot on his plate. I don't know if he's got that much experience against this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm wondering just how much he's, at least how prepared he is. Those adepts were on the other side of the map. They weren't defending the third because they were trying to get some damage done. 5 drones are going to go down immediately. But will Scarlett lose these adepts? They don't have resonating glaives, so they're not going to be able to just clean up lings that easily. But a bit of a miss micro as they were move commanding inside of the claws of those lings.
Yeah, ends up losing all the adepts and has to back out of there. The double Stargate is being thrown down back at home, though. This is going to be Scarlett's transition, but this is also going to be off the back of a Twilight Council that's going to research most likely resonating glaives or charge. I think that generally Scarlett tends to favor resonating glaives and adepts.
Okay.
Just because I think she makes the unit that frustrates her more.
Yeah, charge is a bit cheaper, but it's like, the fact that you never know with her. That's funny. She'll play Protoss like to spite Protoss, but win with it just to show like, yeah, that's
that is the reason she plays Protoss.
It's the only reason, damn well. But she's pretty good at it. Yeah, don't let that fool you. Big link run by, trying to get through that natural base. Not gonna get too much done if this mothership core gets here. But I said if that mothership core gets there, it doesn't have any energy, but this Oracle does.
Yeah, the Oracles come back home. They have a little bit of energy left over. They can use that. But even honestly, just forcing out that kind of the beam for the Oracle, all 3 of them going to run out of energy. And remember, Oracles rely on the energy to actually do any kind of attacks. So the fact that they run out means that they're just going to be ineffectual for a while. And that allows Suppy to play a little bit greedy. He's actually getting out, 9 mutas. The balls on a player against a triple Stargating player, make a massive number of mutas is actually astounding.
It really is. Scarlett has the opportunity to just shift into triple Phoenix production. Now, it all depends. If she loses the Oracles to the mutas, then that's a big deal too, because that's quite a heavy investment out of Scarlett. And now I think she realizes what's going on and immediately hits that X key.
Okay, Hydra Den is being thrown down. No more mutas are coming out. I'm really actually curious, and I'd love to talk with Suppy about this later. Like, does he know about this kind of style that's become so popular? And because he scouted out the triple Stargate pretty late, so he didn't necessarily know that this was going to be a big thing. Maybe he was just sort of reacting, saying, well, if you're just going to make oracles, I will make mutas. And then he realized, oh, actually, wait a second. You have 3 Stargates making these oracles, so I got to transition out now. Or if it was actually just a bit of a plan to try and get damage done with the mutas. Either way, though, these mutas are not going to be long for this world.
No, they need to get some damage done. 9 mutas is pretty big investment, So usually if this were to be some kind of a way to force out a surplus amount of Phoenixes, then sure, I would say, I got you. But Suppy hasn't really done anything with the mutas, and you don't want to just invest 900 gas if you're planning to dupe your opponent. Oh, man, yeah. Suppy has to give up these mutas and doesn't really get anything for them. Oh,
He's trying to just get an oracle, just a single oracle, but Scarlett is already attacking with some zealots over at this 5th base or 4th base, whatever you want to call it. The oracles going in, cleaning up hydras as they pop out, keeping those numbers low. The Phoenix can also lift up some of these hydras, and things are already looking really, really devastating for Suppy.
Yeah, really nicely timed by Scarlett. Her charge finished up. She got that 4th, or rather, I think it was a 5th base. I don't know if that bottom left base that Suppy took was the 4th or the 5th. But regardless, one base of Suppy's did go down to just a few charge lots, and that was brutal, a massacring of those hydras. And the mutas didn't do anything, so that unit's lost, looking pretty bad if your name is Conan.
The kind of interesting thing, though, is that, yes, there are 9 oracles still alive, so this is becoming a slightly different game, but it seems as though it's mostly about Phoenix production now, which can still really snowball. But if Suppy gets up enough of these Hydras, he can actually take on these Phoenix. I think actually Phoenix do fare a little bit worse against mass Hydra versus just Oracles.
Oh, well, we're gonna find out.
Boy.
These do have +1/+1, or at least the Oracles don't. No, it was rather the Hydras had +1. The Phoenixes and Oracles didn't have anything. Not like attack really matters for Oracles, but
Ling run by.
oh, not bad.
Okay, gonna be able to get a couple of kills on the. No, it doesn't actually even get the pylon. Has to back out of there. At the same time, Suppy's losing all of his workers.
He's losing all of his workers, and those Lings get into the main of Scarlett, and they say, "Oh yeah, that's a lot of Stargates you got there, girl." And it's not even like it's a carrier transition. It's just gonna be more Oracles and Phoenixes and Scarlett. Wow, that is just way too much in the sky, and GG is called. Game number 1 goes to our Canadian Protoss / Zerg. I don't know what to call her anymore. Like, I get so confused watching it and being like Scarlett, and it's like a Protoss, and then
Zotos.
I want to say that, yeah.
She's a hybrid. She is the hybrid.
She is the hybrid, huh? That's crazy.
From the campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one messed with my head. I've watched Scarlett play Protoss before, but it's been a while since I casted her against another Zerg, so that definitely not only mess with Suppy's. Oh, for sure. Just Suppy's. I don't want to know what Suppy's head feels like.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you have to remember that if this is something that he just wasn't really super prepared for, then going into game number 2, he's going to have some better ideas of, okay, you opened up with an Oracle again. Cool. You got a second Oracle out. Okay, you have a third Oracle. Okay, I know what's coming now. Like, he'll have a good sense of what's going to happen. And I feel like, unlike a lot of other Protoss players out there, Scarlett's Protoss is very centered around, I know, and this is obviously just going to be a natural happenstance of when you play an off race, you know how to do 1 or 2 things, maybe 3 things really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is just kind of out the window. So Suppy can realize and identify, like, this is one of the main only things that Scarlett ever does as Protoss. The only other thing I think I've seen her do is like 7 Gate Adept.
Yeah.
And like, I think I've maybe once or twice seen her go for like an Immortal Sentry all in. Then he can eliminate other options and actually play greedy and punish Scarlett for not really having as much experience with the race.
Yeah. And I wonder if her approach is, like, what would, if Protoss were to do this to me and I got really, really pissed off, how do I actually do it? Or what is this thing that I can do? So, well, here we are. Oh boy, this is a scary map, I always like to say, when you do play against a macro toss, but we'll find out if this player in the bottom left is going to play it macro. It is the pink Protoss Scarlett.
And her opponent up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Zerg player. Give it up for Sloth Esports Club, Suppy.
Yeah, and she didn't switch back to Zerg. She's going to be sticking it out as Protoss, by the way, so... Okay.
That's always one of those technicalities. Also, you have to check in with the administrator of the tournaments and say, hey, are you allowed to research mid-series, or is it like throughout the tournament? Is it per game? Like, what's the deal with the race?
What's the deal? Yeah, you got to make... And once you have a player asking that, then you're like, okay, what are you... you know you're trying some shenanigans here, but... hey, maybe it's... she'll wait until she loses this Protoss if she already won. I mean, you're playing on Acolyte. I would say that if you are worried about early game aggression against a Zerg player, this would be a great map to actually just kind of turtle down, get your easy 3 bases, or at least the 2 bases. But, you know, the third one's pretty hard to bust as well.
Yeah, third base is a lot like a natural on this map, so it is pretty difficult to really bust in there. So a lot of Protoss players do feel a little bit more comfortable for that. I wonder if Scarlett is going to be going for that same style again. Like, again, I said before, she is the kind of player who just has 1 or 2 big builds or tricks up her sleeve, and that's sort of what she relies on with Protoss specifically. But yeah, Suppy is also a player that actually, despite, I guess he came into the scene at such a young age, and despite not necessarily being as experienced and having as much, I should say, experience in the current meta,
Yeah.
He has a ton of experience and is actually a very good adaptive player, I think.
Yeah, he's a very smart player. Just he's a smart guy in general, but like the fact that you can be away from the scene, not have as much time to dedicate to practice, you know, he can kind of use his knowledge and experience to make the right decision. So, and his mechanics do hold up. So it's not even one of those things where you start to see him get pretty sloppy with his macro. But like you said, he might not have seen that kind of style because he just hasn't played as much. So to be able to see it in a tournament game kind of sucks because, you know, you're like, oh, usually in a ladder game, this is when I would have adapted. You know, it's like, if I see it again. So.
Okay, well, Adept is going to be coming in and kills off one Ling. Queens force it back. Not too much trouble so far, but it's going to be a Phoenix first from Scarlett. Interestingly, it's not going to be that Oracle first. So maybe she is going to go into something a little bit different. Maybe this is just to clean up some of the Overlords. Second Phoenix getting started up. This is looking a lot like the old school Phoenix transitions. And funny enough, this may even weirdly be a little bit more into Suppy's wheelhouse.
Well, the thing about this is that it is going to keep Suppy in the dark. And now he has to think, well, is it going to be more Stargates or is it just, you know, some kind of way to bait me into going into defending against his style? So even I don't know what Scarlett's going to go for yet. She hasn't put down an additional tech building, but she has taken an additional 2 gases that are natural before saturating the minerals. So it is at least going to be tech. We just have to wait and find out.
Adepts only managed to get 2 kills and 3, I think it's with that Ling kill earlier. Yeah, 2 Ling kills earlier. So Menji kill off the Overlords is nice, but not really getting too much value, and also shuts down a bit of Scarlett's map vision until those Phoenix finally get out onto the map and start putting some pressure on, which she's now going to be able to do, and she'll now be able to maybe force out some reactions from Suppy, as he should be pretty aware of what's happening now. Oh,
definitely. We already see the Spore Crawlers coming out, so that's a typical reaction. Just, you know, you don't want to take that much damage from the Phoenixes, but you're still going to lose drones if you don't have Queens positioned, and I'm just curious. I'm wondering where Scarlett's going to go. The placement of the forge doesn't even necessarily mean that she's going to go for ground upgrades. Because, I mean, on a map like Acolyte, you're going to be able to get cannons at the front if you want to transition into multiple Stargates. But if she does get that +1, then we might see the Twilight and the Robo come out. But if we don't see any of that come out, then most likely more Stargates.
I really like this Ling run by over here from Suppy. Picks off an Adept, gets out of there, forces out a Fletch and Overcharge. And also just the extra APM, it forces the Phoenix back out of the base of Suppy. You know, this is just those extra little actions. You want to keep those Phoenix alive, so you pull them back out to make sure you can deal with the defense back at home. And that buys Suppy a little bit more time, get those Queens, higher energy, allows them to get into the right position, get that creep spread going. And you can see that the Phoenix actually struggling to find too much damage that they can get done anymore.
Yeah, just getting a few drones here and there. The Overlords have been pulled off the map or are killed. So Scarlett, though, not trying to hide the tech at all. She's going to use the Robos as part of the wall. So any way of surprising Suppy is not really going to work because it's right there. That's her tech that she's going for. Unless she would have put like a bunch of Stargates in her. It'd like just be weird, you know, and that would be a bit wasteful of resources. But I think Suppy making the right choice here. Hydra Bane with the melee upgrade. So
yeah, the funny thing is that Suppy actually has a Zergling right at the front door of Scarlett, but he hasn't actually seen the Robos.
He hasn't seen the Robos yet. Oh man, yeah, that's pretty funny. But either way, as long as it's not like double Colossus, yeah, I think.
Ooh,
so.
Well, there's a Robotics Bay going down now, as well as a Twilight Council. So maybe this could lead into double Colossus production. I mean, double Colossus plus Phoenix, a ton of Phoenix, or like even some Oracles, etc., mixed in with a handful of Gateway units can actually be really, really strong versus, I guess, the traditional reaction for a lot of Zerg players right now, which is make Hydras, make more Hydras, and maybe some Lings and Banes. Yeah,
Lingbane Hydra has been so popular in this matchup that it does make me wonder if she's going to go into that style. Disruptors are a little bit more tricky to use against Hydra Bane because of the fact that Lings and Banes are melee. And, you know, a lot of the times if you're going to get surrounded, you're not trying to shoot your own guys. So we haven't really seen Colossus as a counter to it. And I'm sure there's some smart Protoss player that's like, well, the reason why you don't make Colossus is, you know, but like, I don't know yet. I always wondered, and here we go. We are going to see Scarlett going for it. So we are going to see how Colossi are going to do against this Lingbane Hydra, especially if Suppy is going to expect it to be the same kind of Immortal Archon charge lot that we see so many Protoss struggle when they go against this comp.
Yeah, you know, this style actually, it's been tested a few times by a few really good Protoss players out there. I know actually I've seen Neve, or I've heard Neve talk about how this actually really isn't that bad. I know that Scarlett and Neve converse a lot, and a lot of actually
pretty good friends.
You would think that it would be like Scarlett is learning little Protoss tricks from Neve, but it's actually the other way around. Scarlett will tell Neve to do certain things, and Neve will try it out. It's like, actually, this is good. I am going to start doing this.
Right?
It's funny how it works out. But yeah, I think the Double Colossus has slowly caught on a little bit more in the European meta. I don't know if it's really caught on quite yet in the North American meta, and if Suppy will have a lot of experience against it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like back when, ZVP and Heart of the Swarm, it was like... Hydra.
Phoenix to force out Hydras, and then you make Colossus.
Oh, this trick, yo. Got him. Now, my only worry comes from being able to get enough Colossi out to deal with the amount of Hydras that'll be out, but with the defensive position, I think Scarlett should do this with good force fields, right? Yeah. Yeah,
the Banelings actually getting caught behind the Hydras really hurt because there's an opportunity for them to get on top of those sentries. You take out the sentries, you take out the force fields, suddenly the Hydras can actually just start stutter stepping forward, taking out both the Robos as well as the Colossus. But I guess actually speaking of those Robos, they are pretty exposed. There's an opportunity to do something with that.
Oh, yeah. Suppy going to go for it. He's going for the right one, and it goes down. The second one is going to go down, but it's just Suppy taking too many losses. Because you have to be very careful that you don't lose to a counterattack when that happens. So he got the Robo's Fear Dragon, but he only really has Lingbane Hydra.
Yeah, he has an Infestation Pit finally finishing up behind this. Is this going to be to try and get up a faster Hive Tech? Maybe some Vipers. That was the big reason why a lot of people stopped making Colossus for a really long time in the matchup, is the Viper pulls were just shutting down the Colossus a little bit too hard. But I don't know if he's going to get an opportunity to actually get up to them now. The Colossus count is pretty high. The Immortal count is still there. And Scarlett is not looking to wait around much longer.
No, she has a decent amount of force fields. I believe about... Oh, yeah, full energy sentry and then one that has 3/4 energy. So Colossi really good in these situations, just being able to pick apart. Now, if the force fields are going to be good, they are pretty good to start it out. And really nicely done.
Actually, yeah, very patient force fielding. Oh, the Baneling flank from behind does try to catch a few of these units. The one of the Colossus actually gets very low on health. The Zerglings are starting to stream down the ramp, but now the Hydras have to move down the ramp through a choke point. It seems like Scarlett is actually getting pushed somewhat back.
Yeah.
Suppy's still in a bit of trouble.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's losing so many units in order to try to just hold on. So the cost efficiency of Scarlett is so much better than that of Suppy. And here, +2 finished way before that +1 melee, or the +2 melee of Suppy. And remember, these Hydras don't have upgrades. I guess they only have +1 range. Baneling's not the best against Colossus, but she's trying to move them.
Oh, my God. Wow. The Colossus is actually starting to take a lot of damage there. The Hydra starting to fire down one final Colossus, but the Stalkers remain, the Colossus remains. Scarlett takes game number 2, going up 2-0 in the series, getting 2 points for her troubles.
Jeez, yeah, with her